Alright, welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the ongoing Takom Lee, M3 Lee Mid project, the Lulu Bell. So, clear coat's been put on it, not very stoked with it at all. I used Tester's flat clear lacquer in the aerosol can, and it just really failed me this time. Generally I get a really nice even flat finish, and this time, as you can see, I got some weird stuff going on. It's not very flat. The turret just came out really kind of semi-gloss looking, but it's workable, and that was just a layer to protect the brown pin wash I did. So the next thing I'm going to start doing is working with some oils, and as you can see, I've got 3 of my 502 Abteilung oils. I've got yellow, buff, and light mud. And the reason I'm only using those and not any other colors is this is just a base layer of kind of a lightish dirt color I'm wanting to go with. Because this is going to be a desert vehicle, so it's going to be heavily coated in dust. So what I've done so far, hopefully you can see here, I've used these colors, and I'll demonstrate it here in a sec. I just basically use dots of each one of these to give it kind of a splotchy, dirty appearance. And again, it's just the base layer. It's a little bit splotchy, but I don't want it real smooth. I don't want the color to be real, how do you say, I don't want it to be monotone or monochromatic. I want it to be kind of blotchy. So that's what it looks like. And here's basically what I'm doing. I'm using this brush right here. I'm using some of my Masterpiece odorless thinner that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's pretty inexpensive, and it works really well. Totally odorless. I really like it, and I'm using it with this brush. I'm using this brush because it's thin and it can get down in there where I want. And I'm basically wetting down the area where I'm going to be working, because I don't want it to be too dry. I want it to kind of blend pretty easily. So I do that first, and then using the colors, I'm just dipping it in the lid here instead of putting it on cardboard or anything, and just throwing some dots down. No rhyme or reason, just doing it a section at a time. I'm just doing these 2 intersections here. Doing that first, then I'll use a little bit of this here. Same thing. And then I'm using yellow. And the reason I'm using yellow is because if you just use these light colors, it ends up turning out kind of grayish looking. And I want to maintain some of the green. So by putting some of this, it's in effect kind of lightening the green without it turning gray. Okay, so I've got some of that in there like that. Clean my brush. Then using this little bit wider brush, it's a very cheap brush. I also bought it Hobby Lobby, and if you guys are wondering why I buy so much there, is because that's really the only place in town we have to buy this stuff. And then I just kind of use a stippling action here, and I just kind of mash it around. Get good coverage on the whole thing. Okay, and then just keep working it so as to get it spread around nicely. Now see, it's really splotchy looking right there. As it dries, it's going to blend in a lot better. It's not going to be not quite as blotchy looking, because with that thinner down already, it'll kind of diffuse it and dissipate it a bit. And see, as you can see there, hopefully we got some good blotchiness. And as it dries, it's kind of transparent right now, but as it dries, it'll end up looking more like that. So I'm just going to work on that a little bit, and I'll do that all underneath, and then I'll do it on the running gear. I've already done it on the running gear here. As you can see, it's kind of splotchy and grayish looking. I still need to do that, the drive sprocket and the idler. So I'm going to work on that a little bit, and once I get more of it done and it kind of dries up, then I'll come back and show you what it looks like, so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I'll demonstrate it again on the upper surfaces, just so you can see what's going on a little clearer than what's underneath. All right, well, some of that lower stuff is drying. I'm doing something else here. I wanted to do a little bit of experimenting. So as you can see here, I've got a very light yellowish toned wash, which I created using light mud and yellow, and it is very, very diluted. Not much pigment in there at all. And what I'm doing is I'm using this on the whole kit, and just mainly to see how it turns out. I've got the front done, and all this is doing, I think it will just add an extra layer of difference in color here. Maybe lighten up the green overall, and hopefully work out. You know, again, because I'm doing a light, it's going to be a light weathering job because of you know, trying to simulate dust and all that stuff. So I'm just going to be slathering it on here. Hopefully it'll collect in the edges. Now, I did not put any thinner down beforehand. I'm just putting it directly on the surface here. There's no pre-prep with thinner that some people do, and you know, I do on some stuff, but I'm just laying this, because it's so thin, I'm just laying it on here. And hopefully I'll get some nice variation in the color here. I've already done the front and the back here where the engine access doors are. I've got some on the back here, and it's not overpowering. It's not really, you know, leaving a lot behind, because I just wanted, it's, you know, it's a filter is what it is, really. It's not a wash because it's thinner, and it's just a filter, and it'll just kind of change up the color just a little bit. And I think with the brown pin wash and then this filter on here, that'll give it some nice tonal variation, a term everybody uses these days, and I guess it's a pretty good one. Not really any other way to describe it. Just to break up the monotony of the olive drab. Again, this is one of many layers of weathering that's going to be going on this thing, and it's just to break things up where it's not so, as I said a minute ago, monotone. Olive drab can be kind of a challenge for some people. It was for me for a lot of years, in getting some variation in olive drab, because it's just lives up to its name. It's drab. But hopefully this will kind of help out a little bit. And I've never done this before, not using this color anyway. Again, just trying to get things mixed. I'm just trying to get this out of here. I don't want it clogging up those vent holes. Just trying to get it to where not all of my olive drab vehicles look alike, because that can get real boring real fast. It's not like German vehicles where you have all these different camouflage patterns and stuff like that that can help break up your collection. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this a little bit. I'm not going to blah, 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 blah too much, because I don't want to bore you guys to tears. So I'm going to continue working on this, do the turret and everything else, then do some more of the dot filtering with the oils, and then come back and see how it's coming. This is what I do. Put it on there, let it dry, and then just using a old stiff brush. Just scrub it off like that. And if you really want to clean more off, you can use a Q-tip like that, and that'll clean even more off. That's usually what I do on the upper surfaces where it's not quite as close to the ground and the source of dirt and dust. Alright, so I skipped on ahead and pretty much finished it. So here it is, the Takom M3 Lee Lulubelle. So I demonstrated the weathering technique I was using earlier, using the Ultimate Weathering Wash sand color. Used that all over it, scrubbed it off, lightened it, or scrubbed more off in some places than others to kind of give it a little bit of variation. Then, just to try something different, I used one of my wider brushes here, got it wet and pulled it down in a few places to get a little bit of streaking, like, you know, at some point some moisture had gotten on there and run off. Added some fuel stains here and there. Get a pointer. Did a few oil stains around some of the suspension, busted seal looking thing there, if you can see it. A little bit there and there. Don't even know if that'd really be a thing, but hey, there's fluid in there somewhere, I'm sure. But anyway, that's it. Did a little bit of oil stains back here. I have to say I really like the kit overall. It's a lot of fun. One thing that's kind of hard to get used to is link and length tracks. It just makes it a little bit harder for weathering, in my opine. So I need to kind of figure out a method to make weathering of link and length tracks and suspension stuff a little easier. So I'm going to ponder that in the future. But anyway, as far as the rest of it, like all these weird angles and panels and stuff going together, it all fit together just fine. Just takes a little bit of well, a lot of test fitting and just making sure that, you know, things are lined up correctly, and before you commit with cement. But gotta say, overall I really liked it, and I may monkey around with the weathering a little bit more, like maybe like hit the edges like that, kind of make it a little more contrast. I just noticed there's a few places where, you know, it happened accidentally and it just kind of seemed to help a little bit. So I'll probably mess around a little bit more, but overall I really like it. It's a really good kit. My son got it for me. My son Skyler got it for me for my birthday in August, and I really enjoyed it. Really nice kit. Decals worked really good. When I put my clear coat on with the Model Master Acryl, it really seemed to blend it in well. So it wasn't just a fluke on the other kit that I did. So I think that's going to be the trick to making sure these decals laid are, you know, not protruding with the carrier film. So Anyway, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed following along with this from time to time, and I'll get ready to move on to the next kit. So if you have any questions or comments or any of that kind of stuff, put them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So I hope you'll stick around for the next video and see what's coming up. And thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.